when you're running long distance, you gotta pace yourself, right?
Yeah.
And part of that is knowing your own limitations. So being in tune with your breathing and knowing what kind of your pace is really important. And like all of that can be applied to things that we're doing in life. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So,
and with all the race cancellations recently, I think it's a good opportunity to also think about that it's a journey. There's we certainly strive for a finish line, but that it's more than that even. And it's like the growth that occurs and the path that you've been on, and that there should be pride and joy in that as well. And that things don't always go as planned, but we can kind of fall back on the lessons we've learned as we've made our way over these miles, and that in and of itself is a success, is committing ourselves to something and continuing to move forward even when things are hard or uncertain.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, welcome to Vibrant Vienna. Today we're sitting down with Lynn Collins and Melissa Nee, and they are, I might be messing this up, leaders of the Vienna chapter of Moms Run This Town. It is a local health and fitness, but I think mostly running group, obviously, hence the name, which the title kind of says it all. And I like the little, the pun there, which I think in Vienna, that is a true statement. Moms do run this town. So it's really cool to have you, and I'm really glad. I was hoping that we could do it in person, but obviously with everything going on, we made the right choice and we decided to do it over Skype. So thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about Moms Run This Town and what it's all about.
So Moms Run This Town, like you said, it's a women-only running group. We do also do fitness topics and things like that, but we mostly connect women runners and walkers together through Facebook. That's our main platform, and we host runs throughout the week, and mostly starting from the Red Caboose in Vienna. And the group, while it's centered around running and physical activity, it's really a lot more than that. It's really a support network and a community for women. A lot of our women are moms, but not all of them. And the chapter is actually co-branded nationally as She Runs This Town. So to feel welcoming and inclusive to all women. And I don't know, Lynn, is there anything else you want to add to that?
It's a wonderful resource for people who are long-time runners, new runners. We've got people who have run 100-milers, those kinds of ultras. We've got people who are working towards 1 mile and 5Ks. So there's really this wide range, and all ages too, really. We've got some younger runners. So we do say moms, and we like our young daughters to start to hopefully get some good some good ideas about exercise and fitness and things like that from us as well.
That's awesome. So for people who are beginners, how do you guys introduce them into the club? Do you have different levels, and how does that work?
Well, first, I'll start with this one, just to say that on Wednesdays, we have a Welcome Wednesday post, and for people to join our group, we do ask them questions through Facebook that they have to answer so that we can allow them to join in. We do have people who try to spam, try to solicit, or just randoms who are spamming from all different parts of the globe. So we start from there first to make sure that they are really someone we can welcome into our group, and we ask them to read our guidelines and to check a few things out. And then Melissa is actually our best at helping people on their way towards getting to their 5K situation. So I'll let her talk about that.
Cool.
So once ladies join and Lynn welcomes them to the group on Wednesdays, we point them in the direction of our weekly run document, which is where if they're already established as runners and they're looking for company, that's a good way to kind of link in and see what time, what pace, where people are meeting, and get together with the group. A lot of people join and they kind of lurk and they watch and they kind of see, what are all these crazy people with all this running? What are they doing? And when I started, I was a relatively new runner. I joined the group in 2013, and I had gone from couch to 5K and then run a 10K. And then the group, we call it pouring the Kool-Aid. Everyone, you jump in and you think, you set like your goal, like, okay, I'm gonna go for that mile, or I'm gonna go for that 5K, and then suddenly you are like, I'm signing up for a 5-miler, a 10-miler, a half marathon, things like that. So it kind of sneaks up on you. But I'm really passionate about getting women who are beginning runners or returning from pregnancy, childbirth, injury, about getting them running again or starting to run for the first time. So I do a Couch to 5K group once a year, usually in the spring. And I host a group run once a week where we all meet to hold each other accountable, and we run the set intervals for the progression of starting with nothing and working our way up to 3.1 miles. And then throughout the week, women either run on their own or they find someone in the group that has a similar schedule or pace and they run together. And we just try to hold each other accountable and provide encouragement through that. And we've got some really fabulous members that have become real leaders in the group through that program. So
and what's
awesome.
terrific is that no matter how much you've run before, you see everybody encouraging everyone. We all remember that first mile, that first 5K, and you've got, again, people who have run marathons who are starting over again because of injuries, things like that, and everyone is so wonderfully supportive. That's one of our biggest things, is that you know, it doesn't matter how fast you go, but just, you know, way to go on recovery, way to go on that new kid, way to go on that new job, way to go on all these just kind of accomplishments. Everyone is so supportive.
That's awesome. That's really great to see. Yeah, because fitness is, and especially running, can be a solitary kind of thing. So there's the Couch to 5K. So what about more seasoned runners who maybe got the community aspect and the support aspect, which is definitely an added bonus? What can somebody who maybe they do the Marine Corps marathon, or they're doing marathons, what would they maybe benefit or gain from joining the group? Do they jump right into a kind of a leadership kind of role? I guess it depends, right? Obviously, but how does that look?
I mean, I see from one angle, when you've got some people who've been running for 10, 15 years, you've got people who ran track in high school or cross country or things like that. I think running there's always something developing, whether it's nutrition. People are talking about, hey, have you tried this now when you've gone for your long run? You know, I'm finding myself dehydrated, or I'm finding myself with salt on my face, or I'm finding maybe it's a clothing thing of, man, these socks don't work anymore, or these shoes, or I need a good pair of tights that can get me through 10 miles and I can carry everything in my pockets. There's always some sort of discussion going on about what's the best practice for this or that. So I think a lot of people come on for that reason alone. And then the recovery information as well, where you're sharing, hey, you know, I need something to help strengthen my hips, or I need something to help recover because my calves are hurting. What should I do to cross train? So there's always that kind of communication going on and on, because new things are developing.
Right. So what are some of those trends? Because I remember, like, in I don't guess it was maybe 2007, the Vibram thing with the barefoot running was really hot. And Michelle, my wife, had a pair, and I got like the New Balance weren't the toe finger ones, but they were no sole shoes basically. And I mean, we lived in Virginia Beach, so we used those on the sand, and that was really great. But I always felt like using those on pavement, you really had to make sure you were on
your toes,
doing rolling the right way. Otherwise, your knees were just getting killed from that impact. And so then they got a lawsuit, and that kind of went away. You don't really see those as much anymore. So what what right now is like the new, is there a new trend, or is it kind of just
I
different
think
things going?
so that the idea of zero drop is still out there. I don't think it's necessarily like barefoot running, but even like Hokas, which are the really thick soles, but they don't have a drop, like your foot is held on one level.
Right.
But I would say that probably things have shifted to people really advising each other, like go get fitted, like go see what works for you and your foot. Like
Right.
we could tell you what our favorite shoe is, but I have a super high arch and a narrow heel, and this person has a super wide foot and a flat arch. And so if I love it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's like the right shoe for you to wear. Our ladies do love gear, though. I do know that there's a lot of talk about, especially in the transition of seasons, like what shorts work, what doesn't ride up, what looks halfway decent, all that good stuff. But yeah, I think as far as shoes go, it's been more towards like go get fitted, try it out. All the local running stores are great because they give you like a 30-day trial period. If it's not working for you, you can take the shoe back in or things like that. And so I feel like that's like the sound advice these days.
Yeah. And
our ladies,
I've done that before.
yeah, no, and our ladies will come on and say, like Melissa was talking about, how my foot is shaped differently than yours, or maybe, maybe my body type is different. So how do you, carry your weight or however it is to help make sure that you're doing things the healthiest, safest way possible? Our ladies are willing to get on and say, that worked for me when I was pregnant, or that worked for me postpartum, or that worked for me when I was recovering from this ankle injury. They're also willing to talk about, hey, here's a good physical therapy place or chiropractor or whatever it is that I've gone to help me with recovery. So there's been kind of more discussion about being a more well-rounded runner as well, making sure that you're doing some cross training and some strengthening. So yeah, sometimes it's, you would think that it might be quiet, but no, we're right on there. Everyone's kind of given their 2 cents to give some suggestions to make sure everyone is being safe.
Awesome.
And we don't allow advertising or solicitation in the group, but we do allow, like, if there was a free fitness event, or we have women actually in our group that are physical therapists or nurses or things like that, that if they're offering a free seminar or something that can help people with their running or fitness, that is welcome in the group. And we actually have a physical therapist right now in the group who is posting videos about form and how to improve your running form to prevent injury and stuff like that. And she's just doing that as a service to her fellow runners that she loves. I mean, which is just fabulous. And she took that upon herself to offer that to the group, which I thought was just so lovely. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, being in the Marine Corps, running was really a big part, right? And we're the only branch that requires 3 miles as part of the physical fitness test. Army's 2, and the Navy and the Air Force are 1.5 miles, right? So leave it to Marines, we want to we want to be hardcore, but form was always a big part of the conversation, and breathing. And there's different ways to do it, but I remember a drill instructor would always say, breathe in through your nose. It was always his suggestion. I've heard other people say, breathe in through your mouth. I've heard all these different things. So I don't know what the right answer is. I always just kind of did what worked best for me personally.
Just run. Do your best.
But you mentioned salt in the face, and that was always a problem for me because I don't have thick eyebrows, which is really weird. But it was, I had to make sure I didn't put any product or anything in my hair because it would just get into my eyes all the time. So I guess a headband would be the solution, but anyway, cool. All right, trends in running. We got the different skill levels that are welcome to the group, kind of the support aspect. What about diet? Does that come up in conversation? Is that something that you guys talk about, or how does that come into play?
I think on our page, it's mostly about fueling on our runs and what to do when you are, why am I feeling sluggish, or why am I why is my stomach upset during a run? Then people might discuss, the kinds of foods you might eat before, during, or after. That's more of our discussions that happen about what we eat.
Got it. Okay. And then as far as people who, women who want to join from Vienna, well, I should say people, because there's a dads runs.
Yeah.
Dads run this town.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say because it's hard for me to believe. But so you have both, right?
Yeah.
Both clubs, and that's chapter. Maybe I'll do one with them, and I'll get to meet them. But anybody from
we can get you hooked up with those guys.
Yeah, cool.
Don't you might be running 3 miles again or longer if you join.
Yeah, I know, believe me. Yeah, so many good memories come to mind. It was really a thing. I mean, just speaking personally, it was in the beginning, I just didn't enjoy. I'm not a runner, even though I'm somewhat thin, and I've always kind of been thin. It was never really a strong suit of mine. My fastest it's not a 5K anymore, it's 3 miles, was 22:30. So, and that was boot camp at 130 pounds, running for 3 months straight. So I didn't think I was going to get much better than that. But yeah, no, since then, the time has gone way up.
Well, and I'll say, Kevin, that a lot of people feel that way about running. A lot of people's experiences with running have not been positive. It was used as a punishment in other sports, or it was required in high school with the mile, and it was a source of angst. And I feel like one of the strengths of the group is that it really transforms the mindset about running. And it does make it fun. I really do feel like there's a lot of enjoyment that goes on. And even now, while we can't run together in groups, we have a relay challenge going on the page where everyone's adding their miles, and we're trying to reach a goal collectively of 1,250 miles for the week. And people are like, you know what, I went out and I did a mile with my screaming toddler, but here's my mile, and I'm going to put it towards the 1250. And everyone's watching this group goal grow and grow and being a part of it. And I feel like I was a person who walked the mile in high school. I'm an adult onset runner. This started in 2013 out of nowhere. Steven, my husband, was like, who is this woman? What are you doing? Run? That's not what you do. But because it became about community and it was more social and there were these group challenges, I felt engaged. It didn't feel like a punishment. It didn't feel like something I had to do. It became something I wanted to do. And I see that happening a lot with the women in our group.
So how many people?
What's that?
No, sorry. I was going to ask how many people have to make the 1250?
Oh gosh, I mean, how many people? I didn't count how many people participated towards the 1,000 last week.
Which we made.
We made it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Make it a low number. Go a low ball.
Yeah, I have to go on there and write in to you and let you know how many women did that. But we have people that we've never seen post on the page posting to this challenge, which is so great. Like that they're contributing. So we have. I wrote down. We have about 1,600 members, but they're not all of them are contributing towards the mileage.
Got it. That's awesome. So you all have found ways to kind of overcome the challenge that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And keep people involved through community, because you could just easily say, well, run on your own and see you in whenever.
2 to 3 months, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of when we're out together running, I like to tell my kids how this is our own play date of sorts. And it's also a lot of therapy, because you're talking about, your work, your family, whatever it is. And so that has been different. And so many of us now are running with just our family members or by ourselves and kind of checking in with each other this way. It's definitely very different. And one of our members set up some of these video chats like this. So it's been neat to see everyone with maybe their hair down, not up in a ponytail, not super sweaty. That's also weird to actually be looking at someone versus, they're right beside you running for however many miles. But that's one thing, together and We have had to change a few things, our regularly scheduled things that we do. We usually have a welcome run where everyone comes together at the end of the month on Saturday mornings. Not doing that for a bit. And our Flat Mama Friday, where usually would show what outfit you're going to be wearing to your upcoming race that weekend. Melissa had a great idea to make it Friendship Friday. And so now we're sharing some, uplifting quotes or pictures or just a wave or whatever it is, just to keep everyone engaged. And it has been really neat to see people who have never come forward before. Those lurkers are now finding this is the time where I can just say, hi, here's me. One of the women on this kind of coffee chat that a Zoom call that one of the moms has set up. I'd never met her before. She's new to the area entirely. She's from not this continent, and how wonderful to get to chat with her this way.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's great. It has challenged people to step up and think of new ways to engage. And like you said, it's given other people an opportunity who might not have felt comfortable to do something. So silver linings, we got to look for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. So, are there any like club dues? I might leave this out.
No, it's
there's no
completely
club
free.
dues. It's free.
Completely free.
So
Yeah.
what makes it is it a national organization?
It is.
Okay. And how does that organization come into play for the chapter? What's the relationship?
Take it away, Lynn.
Pam set this up 10 years ago, right?
I think so.
And from there, it's just spread like wildfire. It's actually international. It's in a bunch of different countries too, which is pretty cool. And then we make it our own for Vienna Oakton, which is great. Though we do really spend a lot of time with our Northern Virginia kind of hub. A bunch of us chapter leaders talk on a separate area. We also do participate in national discussions as well with chapter leaders on a sounding board. But it really is neat how each chapter is individual, whether it's because of its location. Maybe you have, the Arlington Alexandria chapter is huge. You can think about how big that is. But then, maybe it's your resources. Maybe you do have a trail nearby, like us. We've got the WNOD or the CCT. A couple other ones have to kind of pick their running spots a little bit differently because maybe it's a little bit busier out. Well, usually busier out. These days, but still, it kind of depends on the group, on the chapter leaders. Melissa and I have been together for a couple years now, and we are pretty well machined. We are Thelma and Louising this out together. But it's nice to be able to work together to make it who we are. At one point years ago, there was a discussion about should we eliminate non-running related discussion on our posts. If it's a mom who needs an idea about a hairdresser or something like that, why is that really feminine? But anyway, something like that. And, we kind of asked this question to our chapter, and they said, you know what, that's what makes us feel connected. We're going to try to stay away from NRR, non-running related posts, but every once in a while we are going to ask these questions about, hey, I need the pediatrician that does this for my child, or I want to get a degree in this. Does anyone have any leads? Any kind of discussion that way. So we try to keep it as running related as possible, but also we realize our chapter is one that does have this, again, these play dates of having these discussions to gain some information.
That's awesome. So it's kind of, go ahead.
It's just a transient area. We always have new people coming in, so I feel like there's a need there where when people haven't established necessarily in the community yet, and they're looking for resources about about pediatricians or schools, things like that they feel safe. I think there's something that feels really safe when you feel like you're part of a mom group. That this is a place where you can kind of open up. Say I'm struggling with something. Does anyone have an idea of how I could handle that? Or is there a resource in the community that could help me? And oftentimes that resource is right there on the page. There are other women that are in that field or have that expertise who are then able to connect with that person and really guide them and maybe take the discussion off the page. But those connections are really invaluable too. So I think it's nice that National really allows us to we affiliate with National. Like there's a search, you can do a search by your zip code on the National webpage and find the chapter. But we basically, we just say, hey, we want to start a chapter. Pam puts us in the system, and then every chapter has its own personality and its own way. There's some broad general governing guidelines, but mostly it's like what works for us here in Vienna, Oakton is maybe not going to work for somebody in Oklahoma or Texas or what have you. So there's a real acknowledgement that we're each facing different challenges and we each have different needs in our communities, and that's kind of supported by it being like loosely structured, so to speak.
Right,
Yeah.
right, got it.
And piggybacking on some interesting things mentioned was about how you can go onto the page, the National page, and kind of type in your zip code, or maybe it's somewhere you're traveling to or moving to. And we've had some ladies introduced to us that way of, hey, we've got this great lady coming. She's been a wonderful part of our chapter, and it's been great. We're like, yes, Brianne's terrific, or whoever it is. So that's been really neat. And it has been fun going somewhere traveling. I joined a page in Minnesota and in Florida at one point, and it was great. They were so welcoming. I was only there for a short period of time, and ran with some ladies, and that was really cool. Got some good tips, and then thanks so much. See you later. It's really neat to be able to share those experiences. And the one time I ran in Florida with some ladies, and they're like, "Watch, this is a really hilly part. We went up over a curb."
Right.
Elevation here. Like, okay, well, that's great. It was really neat. And here they were, like running in longer pants and sleeves. And meanwhile, I was hotter than Hades to me. I'm in shorts today. Like, that's fine. It was really neat to share, what is it like in your chapter? And ours chat's mostly about this, or ours, we really about this. It's pretty neat to see how different everybody is.
That's awesome. So Lynn, how did you get into running?
Well, I guess a little earlier than Melissa. I didn't play a single sport until the summer before my freshman year of high school, which nowadays you kind of can't do that, but I joined field hockey and lacrosse and loved the running part of it. Then went to college and started teaching aerobics. And over the summer, if I wasn't teaching or taking a class, it was nice to just pick up on running for a while. Then I was a teacher, an elementary school teacher, and it was real easy to pick up on running after school every once in a while, but I really wasn't very serious about it. Then had a couple of kids, and it was a nice thing to go out and be by myself, or run with the stroller, and the kids would ask me when I was going to start running, and I have to say, Mommy is running. Slowly. But that was basically how I did it. It was kind of a nice time to just feel some air and get to meet some people. I joined MRTT in 2013, earlier in 2013, and became a chapter leader later in the year. It was just great. It was just something I can kind of pick up, even with different injuries and children and jobs and things like that. It was nice to just pick up. It was okay to start at one level and go up to another one, and sometimes return or sometimes go past, but it's just really easy to pick up.
So in Northern Virginia, I just think it's interesting that this area is, you have the military, right? So that adds to the love of fitness. But even outside of that, there's a really big culture of fitness, going out on the WOD trail. You see just everybody doing all kinds of different physical activities, including equestrian.
Yeah.
So it really runs the gamut here. I don't know if there's a question in here. There's a lot of different questions. One is, I think sorry. Well, I met with Mike Corcoran, the co-owner of CrossFit Mill Street. And for him, that's a great thing because he's into fitness. It's almost a testament to this area because he didn't come here with the intent of opening that business. He came here, I think, working in a totally different industry and then started going to Vienna CrossFit when it was still Vienna CrossFit, and just loved the community there. And then was like, hey, I don't know how it really ended up changing hands, but he was like, sure, I'll buy it. And now he's part owner, like 50%, him and his partner. So it's really kind of an indicator for what the culture of DC, Northern Virginia, and Vienna and Oakton really entails, which is really big into fitness. Why?
Why? Why?
I think major cities have this going on,
Yeah.
right? New York City, I'm from New York. You see people running, you know, down the East River, not on the river. Although maybe you could run on the river if it's, but you know,
there's a lot of boutique fitness, lots of smaller gyms, cycling studios, fitness studios, things like that. A lot of small business owners, and there's definitely there's a demand because they're able to stay in business and have people coming in and everything, and it's definitely seen a surge, I would say, in the last 5 years is what I've noticed.
Yeah.
For
Maybe
sure.
it's the connection between people. It's a pushback against what seems to be a cultural push into sedentary lifestyle of working in an office. I mean, let's face it, and now even more so, we're working on our computers, right? Yeah. So people really yearn to be outdoors, especially in an urban area where, you know, you're surrounded by, you know, we have Tyson's Corner right here, right? So you're surrounded by skyscrapers and buildings. You want to get out, you want to enjoy the fresh air, and you want to be healthy. And so maybe that's really what it is. Who knows? I don't know. But it's great because it's a benefit to your group. I mean, I'm surprised that there are 1,600. I mean, I know they're not all active participants, but I was thinking it was maybe 20 or 50.
Yeah.
But you guys are huge.
It's a big group, and it's not the biggest in Northern Virginia. I mean, I would say probably pretty mid-sized by those standards. And what's so beautiful too is that ladies who have left our chapter to move to other areas, whether because of military or other things, they have started MRTT chapters where they've moved to because they've just gained so much from the experience, and that they want to pass that along. And I think kind of like what you were saying about Mike is like when people have been touched by a community or found something that they're passionate about, they want to share it with people. They want to be an emissary, right? And say, you know, this has made a difference in my life, and it makes me feel so good that I want to spread that joy. I want to spread that love around. And it could be, you know, for different things for different people. But I think for Lynn and I, we love running. So we love to spread that out there.
That's definitely like a recurring theme in talking to, it's mostly been business owners for Vibrant Vienna, but I'm trying to branch that out into other facets. I think you guys are really the first step in that direction, but the recurring theme is that, I mean, John Crane at Clarity, he says that his number one focus is relationships.
Yeah.
Like he wants you to walk into his restaurant and know that his staff are trying to make a connection with you. So to hear that you guys are intentionally doing that with you know, moms and women in the community and reaching out to them and making sure that they're embraced into the group is really, really cool. That's really awesome. And it's free.
Yes,
it's free.
I mean,
nothing's free anymore, so it's pretty amazing.
Right. I mean, that is the great thing about running, is that there's no equipment. I mean, shoes, you know, are a consideration, but after that, and you're going to use those anyway.
Right.
So, you know, it's almost a no-brainer and a great gateway into health and fitness, because I think the intimidation factor is low, because you can get out there and do it on your own, and then join the group and improve and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. We talked about a lot. What
Yeah.
are we missing?
Really, I think it's important to share how some people do come on, or with this Welcome Wednesday post and these questions that we ask, some ladies will say, oh, I'm so sorry, I thought this was a different group. And I'll write back saying something like, that's okay. You know, we're also, you know, we're not here just if you're a 50-mile, you know, a week runner, you know, we're also here to help, you know, encourage people and just be a sounding board or whatever you want to do. And then there are quite a few ladies who go, you know what, you know, I am kind of interested in it. And then watching them write a message on something over and over again or whatever it is, you're like, oh my gosh, look, she just said, I don't really want to do this. You know, we have to try to let people know that there's no intimidation here. Please don't worry about things. We're here for you. I think part of the fun of it all is realizing when people stop lurking and start joining. For me, it was a hilarious post about, you know, it's late at night and I worked out this morning. Should I shower before going to bed? That was it was one of the funny things. And she's now in Germany, and still commenting about her runs. But it's hilarious about what is it that gets you to come out of your shell and post about your thoughts or your questions or whatever it is. You know, don't be intimidated. This is not for only a certain type of runner. You learn a lot about cross training. You learn a lot about muscle groups. You learn a lot about just this way to communicate with each other, and you become such good friends with people. It's hard to put a price tag on that, but hey, we're free.
Piggybacking off of what Lynn just said, I think that's the other piece that's so beautiful is like you meet these women that you would never meet in your day-to-day life. Like you wouldn't cross paths. You're in totally different careers, or your kids are totally different ages, or someone has like kids that are grown and flown. You have someone who has a brand new baby. And it's like you're knit together by this movement and this literal movement of your body. And I feel like bonds are formed on the page, but also when we can run in groups. Like I think you share things when you're moving together that you wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable sharing in other situations. And you can kind of speak from your heart in a way that might feel intimidating if you're looking someone straight in the eye, face to face across a cup of coffee. And those friendships are just, they're invaluable. And, you know, and it can be really hard to connect in this really busy society where we're all in our own houses and at our desks at work and what have you. And so a lot of our runs happen really early in the morning, a little later now that people aren't necessarily traveling into the office, but, you know, in the darkness of the early morning hours, you can kind of open up a little bit and maybe share some things that you wouldn't otherwise share and get that support. So it's kind of amazing.
Cool. Yeah, I really like. I get philosophical, so you got to forgive me, but I really like the philosophical benefit of a lot of sports, like, and in particular for martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When you have two people that are sparring and they're a similar skill level, what you'll see is it becomes a game of running out the clock, because the idea is it's a submission type of martial art. It's non-striking, right? So they're on the ground wrestling and they're rolling. They call it rolling, and they're trying to get their opponent into into an arm bar or some type of a submission move. But the idea is when I've committed to a specific move, by definition, I've actually exposed myself to a counter that can be used against me, right? And I really like that philosophy and applying it to life in a lot of situations, in particular, like conflict, and realizing that, to make sure my emotions are tempered and I'm not committing to an emotion when I'm trying to spar with somebody, because then, you know, if I get angry and out of control, then I've already lost them. They're not listening anymore. They're done, right? So, and being a Marine, a former Marine, beard, you know, like running for me was always a philosophy of, I mean, it sounds silly and obvious, but like, just keep going. Don't quit, right? Like, just get to the finish line. And that was kind of the mantra in the Marine Corps. Like, you know, make your time, don't fail, but you know, when you're running long distance, you gotta pace yourself, right?
Yeah.
And part of that is knowing your own limitations. So being in tune with your breathing and knowing what kind of your pace is really important. And like all of that can be applied to, you know, things that we're doing in life. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
and with all the race cancellations recently, I think it's a good opportunity to also think about that it's a journey. There's a, you know, we certainly strive for a finish line, but that it's more than that even. And it's like the growth that occurs and the path that you've been on, and that there should be pride and joy in that as well. And things don't always go as planned, but we can kind of fall back on the lessons we've learned as we, you know, made our way over these miles, and that in and of itself is a success, is committing ourselves to something and continuing to move forward even when things are hard or uncertain. So
yeah, the process is the key, right? Yeah, we've all, I think society has put overemphasis on, like you said, the trophy, that the end point. And well, then you got there. What then? That's a moment in time.
Right.
And that couldn't have happened without the process. So it's all about embracing the process.
Yeah.
Right. So cool.
Well, we're
awesome.
in a big lesson right now.
Yeah. Totally. Well, thanks both for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And I really hope that this gets the word out to more women, hopefully, you know, moms and dads, maybe,
yes,
that can hear about this and get involved. And they've seen you now, so they know who to look for if they show up.
Right.
And that's a great gateway. So thank you so much both for your time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much.